Hey there, everybody. This video is our reaction to Greenleaf Season 5, Episode 7. And yeah, I'm already stumbling over my words a little bit because I don't know how to really actually talk about the ending all that well to this because it blindsided me in a lot of ways. And this is the weird thing about it is that, there were signs of plenty that it was coming. Obviously, spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet, but it just I wanted to ignore the signs. I wanted to just have this vision in my head that we were going to have a happy ending where we were going to get everything that we wanted and everybody would be okay. And no, and instead we get this. And I understand it's a fictional world, but I'm honestly kind of just devastated by it, if I'm being totally honest.
I agree. This was a really hard episode. I've said this in other videos, but it's Bishop and what has happened to Bishop. Bishop reminds me a lot of my grandpa Compton. So when all of this sort of happened, like I'm so invested in Bishop's character because he reminds me so much of my grandpa that I just when this happened, I just felt like I was really devastated. Like I was losing my grandpa all over again. It was so devastating to watch.
This is easily the most emotional I have been after an episode of Greenleaf ever. I don't know how the finale is gonna make me more emotional than this, but we're gonna try to talk our way through all of this, pick up the pieces of it, figure things out. We'll have a preview a little bit later on, but if you guys do enjoy this discussion, just be sure to give us a like and subscribe to the channel, and you can support us via the store. There's a link in the description of that. We have a Patreon with a number of other benefits as well that are worth checking out. But this, okay, let's just get it out there because I don't want to dance around it.
No, we're not a channel that dances around that stuff. So straight up, the ending had Bishop seemingly dead, and for me, I'm typically a person that's like no body, no death, but
He's dead.
the body was there. I mean,
Yeah.
he was like dying in Lady Mae's arms, and it was there were signs throughout this whole season about her being worried about his health and his memory going, and we suspect or thought that maybe he had a Parkinson's or something when his hands was shaking, and things were swirling about his health, but there wasn't enough for me to really be this worried. And I've seen you guys in the comments mentioning that you thought that Bishop was going to die, and I just didn't want to believe it because I'm really attached to this character. Like I said, he really does remind me of my grandpa a lot. And so watching this happen, the performance from Keith David was outstanding. Like, if the awards don't recognize him for what he's done just in this episode, then I don't know what is going on. His performance in this whole episode, that speech, everything before with what was going on with Rochelle, this scene where he is seemingly dying. I know 911 has been called. I feel in my gut that this is where we're going with this. This show does not pull punches. So as much as I want to think that, and we haven't seen the preview while doing this, so this is just our reaction. I just don't think I just don't think he's alive.
No, I think he's dead, and I don't think this is a fake out or anything else. Like, I do feel like they kind of I feel like they kind of did us a little bit dirty with the Darius is in mortal danger, is he dead cliffhanger that coming out of this last episode. But I just think that he's gone. I don't know how they're gonna reverse this, and honestly, I don't want Bishop to die, but I think he has to die if they're going to tell the story the way that they told it, because
Yeah.
you can't I don't think you can walk what happened back here unless you do something where you say that he's basically immobilized. And because it feels, I'm not a doctor, that's probably clear to anybody who's watched all these at this point, but it looks like he had a stroke. And
Yeah, it did look like that was what was happening because those last words, like, I wanted to see this wedding more than anything, this was really the only thing I wanted to see this season more than anything else, was to see Lady Mae and Bishop get married again. So to have his last words be "I do" just killed me. It broke me. I'm still broken.
It was so it choked me up. It tore me apart. I just think now, if you were to bring him back, from everything I know about, strokes, you don't have a stroke and your life is never the same, and it takes years to recover. And I just
my Grandpa Compton, who I'm always saying is like, if the same thing happened to him, he had 3 strokes and then he passed away.
It is something where I think they're telling the story of Bishop finds his redemption finally. He sort of actually gets to see and practice what he's been preaching all this time. And I think at that point, he finds peace. And he says, "I do" to Lady Mae. And that is his peace. That is sort of the last thing that he needs redemption for, is getting back the woman who he loves. And this is a woman who he has wronged in the past. And he has not always been a perfect partner to. But they sort of come full circle. He tells her he loves her, and then that's it. And I think they wanted to end it when they did, because I think they probably thought, and this is just me saying this, but that kind of prolonging that sequence would have been even more traumatic for viewers to kind of have to watch, the paramedics show up or anything else. And I think it was already just difficult and emotional enough for what they showed us.
I think it was powerful without having everybody showing up, ambulance and EMT, everybody showing up. Just having him in her arms was it. Like, the writing for the show is so good. Like, they know when it's time to just end a scene and just get us with that scene. This whole episode was just really good. I mean, that speech that he gave at Calvary, and just opening up about everything, even the moment with Rochelle at the end where she was talking to Grace, she was kind of like, "I don't want your house." This was never really about that. This was about this moment where I didn't get the confession I thought I was going to get, but I just wanted the truth. And I wanted him to give everyone the truth, and he did. So now I'm at peace. Bishop can be at peace. Everybody's sort of at peace with it.
Yeah, let's get into even more with that speech, because this is one of my favorite speeches I think I've ever seen on television. And yeah, Keith David, I don't know how this show's probably not going to get any Emmy nominations, because it never seems to happen. We've been down this road a million times. It sucks. He should be nominated for this, because
yes, he should.
It is incredible. And just the power of it and the meaning of it, and I could see how much Keith David believed what he was saying as Bishop, and how this is probably a moment that he has waited 5 years in order to play. And it was so convincing. If you were in that congregation while that is happening, you are just throwing Bob out the door. Like, you are like finding a way to like fashion a wheelbarrow and then just like carting him away. Like, you are not supporting this man anymore.
No, not even Phil, who got up and was like, "Yeah, I think you're also doing everyone dirty. And also, Judy, give me my ring back," which was great. And the best moment of all of that Phil stuff was the moment that he tried to get Charity back and she said no. Man, I was really hoping that that's what she would do, and she did. It was nice to see that strength in Charity to be like, "I love you," and we could see that she did, but no, never. Like, you broke that trust. You don't get a second shot with my heart. You blew it. And I was just like, yes! Like, Phil can go on to be redeemed in another way, but that's not going to be it.
I love that scene too. I also think it justifies really well all of our frustrations about Charity, because we've all been driven up the wall by Charity for a full season now, but a lot of it is because she did love Phil, and I think, her mind is clouded by that, as a lot of people's would. in that sort of situation, but she finally sort of sees things clearly, and if Phil was willing to sort of mess around with her and play games with her mind, then, yeah, he may be sorry now, but can you really ever trust him again?
Yeah, and I mean, he dumped her off for a job, and I mean, yeah, I get that he was trying to get this job for many, many years, but it's still just a job. Like, a job is important to have, and yeah, that's great or everything, but is a job more important than love? The answer is no, it's not. And he picked the wrong path, and now he's stuck on that path. He made his bed, he's lying in it, and hopefully he learns and can learn not to do that to somebody else, but not on Charity's time.
Can we talk about how much I love the downfall of Judy? Like, don't get me wrong, seeing Bob destroyed was great, but seeing Judy's destruction was even greater to me, because Bob hasn't been around that much this season.
No, he hasn't.
Judy has been there. Early on in the episode, you get one of the, probably a top 5 Judy line, and, when do I get to destroy something? It's just like, she wanted just like one thing torn apart, and, well, Judy, congratulations. The thing you got torn apart was your entire institution.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, seeing her throw that little fit was completely Judy, and throwing her ring on the ground, and seeing that shot of Phil down on one knee, picking up the ring, and then you see sort of Charity sitting in the pew. I was like, man, this show is so good. It's like put together so well.
This is the thing. Like, I'm glad Judy and Bob have gotten theirs. I don't even know if they're going to be in the finale now.
They don't need to be.
They don't really need to be at this point, but it is there's just something so great about seeing this moment that if, we didn't have the end of this episode that we did, like, I would probably be throwing some sort of, like, Bob and Judy are over party here.
Yeah, that was the thing, is as I was watching this episode before we got to this part about Bishop, this felt like a finale. I was kind of like, oh, this is getting wrapped up. Everything's getting wrapped up. Rochelle, Phil, Bob, Judy. I was kind of like, okay, what's going to be left here to go into this finale about? Is it really going to be about whatever the spinoff is? Because I see what you guys did there with that Zora thing. We just had something very similar in Blind Spot, where if you haven't seen it, cover your ears. But at the end, the show just ended. And in the last episode, they had one of the characters be like, we're going to spin off into a primetime adventure. And I was like, okay, guys, I get it. You want to have a spinoff. And now Zora has said the same sort of line where she was like, hey, Sophia, you want to come to New York with me? It's 2 girls in New York, that could be a TV show. I'm like, all right, guys, I get it.
Okay, well, there's so many thoughts I have on this, because I think there could be a lot of good stuff that comes out of a Sophia and Zora show. It does feel like the let's go to New York and live our lives as young people. I feel like that particular spinoff has been done about 30 times already. So we just had it with Katie Keene over on the CW.
There's been so many sort of coming of age stories of women in New York. Like, there's just so many of them. So I don't know that we need another one, but I mean, I do like these 2 characters, and I like them being together. They play off each other really well.
Here's the thing. Right now, we'll be like, we're not so sure on this. Flash forward a year and a half when the spinoff airs, we're like, I can't believe Zora did that. What happened to Sophia? Like, we'll be on here like going, oh, here's the cameo from Jacob Greenleaf we've all been wanting. It's like, okay.
Listen, this spinoff can be about Phil, and you guys all know how I feel about Phil, and I'm still going to tune in.
Really? The Phil DeVar spinoff?
Yes, I will tune in.
Okay, well, I hope it's not about Phil.
We have 1 episode left. Yeah. We are left on this huge moment that's happened. I expect that we are all going to be crying through this next episode. At least I am.
At least there's some good news for Darius. Like, Darius and Grace, like, come on. It doesn't make up for the fact of what we saw in the closing minutes. Let's be real here. I love Darius, but still, it seems like, he may not have his same life that he had, but Darius has got something now.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't very clear on if Grace and Darius are getting together. There's still the Noah of it all. Yeah. Like, I don't know that we're actually going to get a conclusion of who she's going to end up with in the finale. And honestly, I like Darius. I like Noah okay. I don't know him as well as I know Darius, but like if she doesn't actually pick anybody, I'm not gonna be mad about that because this story has never really been about who is Grace gonna be with. It's about all this other stuff with her family that's going on and helping to bring these secrets to the surface so everyone can just kind of deal with them. And she's kind of moved into this new space now where she really does just want to connect with AJ and her, you know, and Sophia and what's going on with her family. So if she doesn't end up with anybody, I'm not going to be upset. And I know you're the Darius fan club over here, so.
Darius, if you still get your own spinoff, I'll be okay, no matter
what.
Yeah, well, what if the Sophia and Zora is a fake out and they're trying to trick us and it's really the Darius spinoff is in the series finale?
I've heard in the comments, so I don't know if this is true or not, but that the spinoff is going to be based on one of the women. If that's true, then the Darius spinoff, I don't know. It would have to have Grace in it.
Yeah, well, it's just right now with Greenleaf, we've been on a really incredible journey these past several weeks, and yeah, I don't need any more spin-off teases, ultimately. I think at this point, it's really all about Bishop and sort of the impact that he has had on everyone, and I think the series finale will be about that. I will say this, I'm devastated by the end, I was shocked by it, but sort of looking back at it, the moment where I should have really known this was going to happen was that conversation between Bishop and AJ, where Bishop was talking about the day that AJ sort of accepts the faith. He like gave this like big analogy of like, you know, the passion smiles of like thousands of sunsets or whatever it was, and it was just like, oh, this is where this is going. It's so obvious now, of course, looking back at it with that scene.
I think I wish that they had just given us a bit more clarity on what is going on with him, because they did sort of have him having his shaking hands in the earlier seasons, and then some of that kind of just trailed off and it wasn't really focused on as much, and then all of a sudden it was more into he's having a bit of memory loss, and then you know, I get Lady Mae's like, hey, get him for your physical, but like it's one thing to be like, hey, get him for your physical because there's some memory loss and now you're dead. Like I wish there was kind of a little bit more of a thread of like, why is she this worried? Is it about, you know, memory loss doesn't always just mean you're going to die right away or quickly or something like that. Like, there wasn't enough lead up for me.
Yeah, I think they could have probably done a little bit more, because I don't think we have the specific parameters as to what seemed like a stroke, why that happened.
Yeah, it was like a couple episodes ago, he was like doing that weird leg thing and exercising in front of Jacob, and he was seemingly all right, so I don't know.
Maybe that's the point. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a medical expert with this sort of stuff. All I know is that I'm crushed. I suppose it's always possible that there's some sort of trickery here. I just don't think there is. I think you don't do this right before the series finale unless he's actually dead. And
yeah, I think because it's a series finale, I'm more inclined to believe that he is actually dead, and because it is a big moment, and it would be something going into the finale that sort of could either bring the family together more, because they need to be at this point, they have lost the patriarch of their family, or this is going to be the time where it's like Zora and Sophia are like, okay, you know what, it's time to kind of move away from this now and move into a different part of life, or maybe Grace will be like, yeah, I'm going to go move into a different part of life, and maybe the family all decides to do some different things.
We're going to be going through all the emotions, I think, for the rest of tonight, but you know, we're all in this together. We're all feeling this together. So, you know, give us your thoughts on the end of all of this. How are you feeling? Do you think that it was the right thing for them to kill off Bishop? Because there's a part of me that is legitimately upset about it, because I wanted to make it through the finale with him, and I didn't necessarily...
I wanted a wedding.
I thought eventually we could see him retire or something like that, or maybe he wouldn't be okay enough to preach, but that we would see him still around. But I understand what they're doing. It guts me on the inside, and honestly, I need a little bit more time to think about it. But let us know in the comments, and yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, Give us a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us more, check the links to the Patreon, the store, and we will see you here next time to preview the series finale.